Fellow Toastmasters, what's the most common word in the English language?
The.
Which one?
The.
The, it's right there. The.
Wow.
The importance of the. In English, I say this all the time. Whenever a Korean doesn't say this word, part of me dies. It's sad but true. Without saying the sentence changes. How important is the? Look at this. These are the most common words in English. That's the. It vastly outnumbers every other word. But sometimes people will speak and they think, it's not important. No, I'll prove otherwise. Here's an example of a sentence. English, the mailman saw the cat at the store. How do you say that in Korean? 어제부가 가게에서 고양이를 봤어. Thank you, I was going to read that. What are you actually saying? You're saying this. Mailman store in cat saw. Yeah, this is the translation.
Yes.
What's important? There are no articles. I used the 3 times. You said it's 0. Does this make it better or worse? Korean is not the only language that doesn't use the. Chinese, it doesn't use it. Japanese doesn't. Vietnamese doesn't. Russian doesn't. Cat language that does not. I speak cat language. My cat never uses that. Here are some things Asians tend to say. I'll hear things like, did you like a movie? Give me apple. Look at red mark. I play game. I hear this a lot. I go to beach today. Did you read book? Here's the problem. You say this, but I hear this. Every noun gets a capital letter if you don't say the. Give me apple turns into a company. Look at red mark. Suddenly, I'm a communist. I play game, so that's a person. I go to beach. Because you don't say the or ah, I think you're saying this. I go to beach today. Do you read book? So book is a person. You need the. The word the helps us discern the differences. Example. You can make a sentence without using the. Cats eat rats. That's okay. Compared to the cat eats a rat. Sometimes Korean asks me, how do you know the difference between the and the? It's this. Example. I could say, look at a chair. In this room, there are many chairs. It doesn't matter which one. If I say, look at the chair, there's only that one chair, and it's important. That implies this is the only thing of it. There are many of them. Choose one. It doesn't matter. Pretend we had no the. No, don't actually do that. I told the dog to sit on the chair. He chewed the bone and barked at the bird. Turns into, I told dog to sit on chair. He chewed bone and barked at bird. Turns into, I told dog, it's a person, to sit on chair. This is another person. He chewed bone. This is another person. And barked at bird. Well, we've got now 5 people. Simply because you didn't say that. My name is perfectly. My name works as a verb and a noun. Pretend if you were to say, look at Mark. What does it end up meaning? Look at Mark turns to me. Look at the Mark. Means there's a spot that you have to look at. Look at Mark. I'm Mark. There's more than one spot. Look at Mark's. This implies it belongs to me. So there's a big difference between saying look at the mark and look at Mark. When do you not need to say the? A sentence like, I go to school, it's okay. I go home, it's okay. I go to proper noun, like a town, city, country, name of a building. And despite what the British think, you should say, I go to the hospital. Yes, you should say that, you should. If a British person claims otherwise, he's wrong, he's wrong. Ooh. You think the is hard in English? Envision other languages. The English sentence, the dog likes to chase the cats. Here it is in French. Le chien aime chasser le chat. But look at this. It changes depending on the context. I put the book on the table and on the wall. German. Ich lege das Buch auf den Tisch unter den Wand. Changes 3 times. The children see the girls. Las niños ven a las chicas. Changes again. English, there's only one way to say that. French, there are 3. German, there are 5. Spanish, there are 3. This should be more centered. French, if something is masculine, we say le, feminine la, plural le. Spanish, el, la, los, and las. This means if the objects plural are more than one, and if it's masculine, los. Example, Los Angeles, the angels. Las, if something is a feminine more than one. Las Vegas, the stars. German, de, das, die, same idea. Masculine, feminine, and this is also, it doesn't matter if you don't know what it is. Dog language. Woof, bark, howl. So if you ever hear a dog barking, just listen. That's what he's saying. I don't speak dog language.
Mark.
French uses the much more than English. I have a sample English sentence, and I didn't use the. Apple's president, Steve Jobs, sits at his desk. He arrives there every day. He thinks that ice is too cold. It's hard not to say that. But in French, it comes up 3 times. And it changes each time. Masculine, plural, and feminine. German is a nightmare. There are 5 different ways to say that. 2 extra ways. For instance, if you put something on a table like that, you use den. If you put something on a wall, and it's going up and down, you say den. Does this make German easier or harder?
Harder.
No, it makes it easier. Why? If you hear these words, you can imagine the context, right? So even if you don't hear this part, if you hear that part, you can imagine it's happening like this. If you don't hear this part and they hear down, okay, the situation is I'm doing this. Das means the object that it doesn't matter. The is important for film. We have here 2 sets of movies. We have here Final Destination and the sequel, The Final Destination. So if you don't say the, these become the same movie. The Fast and the Furious. Number 4, Fast and Furious. If you don't say the, these are now the same movie. So if you want to download it, pretend. Just pretend. Enter the. actually do that. There's some other movies without the. Who has seen these movies? What's the name of the movie?
Lord of the Rings.
The Lord of the Rings.
The Lord of the Rings.
The Fellowship of the Ring. The Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers. The Lord of the Rings, Return of the King.
Wow.
Well, without the, king is now a person. Fellowship of Ring, this is a person now. Here's my favorite movie. The Pirates of the Caribbean. The Curse of the Black Pearl. Without the, curse turns into a person. Black Pearl, this is a person. No, you can't do that, can't do that. Always say that. It's a big difference. What's the point? Without the, meanings of words can change. Confusion can arise. And even worse, Mark will need to make a presentation. This is N. Do you like speech?